Good afternoon, everyone. This is Carlos Mojica. Thank you for joining us for a scheduled conference call today. We'll be joined by Christian head coach Caleb Porter to discuss the ongoing preseason camp. So for our first question, we're going to go with Patrick Murphy of Massive Report. Pat, go ahead.
Hey, Caleb. Hope things are going well. I'm curious, just with the first game, how the red card to Will changed things in terms of what you were planning to get out of that game, and then also if that were a regular season game, maybe do you do things differently to kind of change the formation or whatnot, or do you continue the same way?
Well, it's not obviously what we expected. Certainly we didn't draw it up to have a red card happen 30 minutes into the game. So in response to your question, did it change the game? Yes, of course. When you're down a man, the game changes. I thought in evaluating the first 30 minutes that we executed very well, minus the goal that they scored, which I thought was against the run of play. But that was a very good strike on their part, and the first shot they had, it was the first real chance they had, and it was, like I said, it was hats off to them. It was a good goal, but I did think it was against the run of play. I thought we came out in a very good way. I thought we came out and played aggressively. We were pressing high up the pitch. We were starting to get a grip on the game. We were able to get in behind them 2 or 3 times and create chances. We had the one where I felt the goalkeeper was outside the box, handled the ball, and then obviously the red card happened. But in reflecting on the first 30 when we were 11-11, the execution was there. And no doubt, if we had, 90 minutes that we would have continued to impose our will on the game and create more chances and create turnovers with our pressure. The bad news is we didn't have the opportunity to do that. So in losing Will and going down a man, now the game changes. Now it's much more difficult to execute how you want to play. Now it becomes more, can we get something out of the game? And, I thought the attitude, the character and the resiliency that the group showed playing down a man for 60 minutes, and not just stopping Chicago from scoring a goal, but also having the better of the chances. I thought with a little bit more, luck, we might have come out of there with 3 points. In the end, though, and under the circumstances, getting out of the game with a point is still a very good scenario, especially going 60 minutes down a man. That is a very difficult situation to be in. So, like I said, the positives are first 30 minutes. I thought we played in a good way. We played in a way that we wanted to. I thought the positives on the next 6 minutes were we were able to buckle down and show we can grind and get a point out of the game and not concede. We'll grow from that. We'll learn from that. We'll use that to our advantage. Hopefully it doesn't happen again. But over 34 games, there's going to be games that, where things like that happen. And so I thought we came together as a group and showed our personality and our resiliency. The negative for me was the red card, obviously. So we learned a little bit from that. I do think, we all know Will. He's an honest player. He's not a dirty player, and I think he slipped a little bit on the play. But also, he knows he's got to be careful going into tackles like that. But, the group really, I think, showed a lot of character, and I was very pleased with that. Having a situation like that also makes these next several games more and more imperative for us to continue to build in the way that we want. We will rotate our group on Wednesday, so we'll play an entirely new group on Wednesday, and then we'll go back to another group on a Saturday evening, and then we will play a game in the morning as well. So and we'll continue to build the minutes up for our entire group, but Wednesday with a new group, and Saturday the last game of the tournament will be really important for our preparation for March 2nd.
Thank you, Pat. As a reminder, if you would like a question, please hit 5 on the star key. For the next question, we'll go to Jacob Myers of the Columbus Dispatch. Jacob, go ahead.
Hi, Caleb. I'm just wondering if you could provide us with an update on Josh Williams. And then the center back spot specifically, you had talked about there's a lot of competition there. Just what specifically are you looking for at that position to solidify the starting 11 and also having the next guy to replace whoever's in that starting 11?
Josh is progressing. He's been in training. He will play 30 minutes on Wednesday. He'll play the first 30, and then Alex Cronali will play the last 60, and then Lalas Abubakar will play a 90 in that game. So, there are a few guys that are on a different track than others. Guys like Nico Hansen, Sosa, and Josh Williams. Those three guys were building up because they're a little bit behind the other group because they were out for a period in the early part of preseason. But Nico's on a 45-minute track. He'll play 45 minutes. Sosa will play 45 minutes, and Josh will play 30 minutes. As far as the center back position, I'm looking for a good chemistry in the back four. I'm looking for, a pairing in the central defender, positions where guys can develop the chemistry together and continuity together. We know we have a lot of good options, but looking for a stable back four. And I think in all honesty, in reflection on the past, I think there was a little bit too much for me turnover in that position. That's not typically my way. I prefer to have some more continuity. I think if you're looking at a unit, you're looking at a pairing. One of the most important pairings on the pitch to have continuity in your central defender positions. So do I expect it to be the same center backs every single game in, game out? No, there'll be some rotation, but will there be less rotation? I would say probably yes. I use the example when we won MLS Cup. Liam Ridgewell and Nat Borchers played basically every single game all year, and I thought that was a big reason why we were one of the best defensive teams in the league because they knew each other by the back of their hand. And I think it's very important when you look around the world. And there's not a lot of changing and rotation in those positions other than in compacted windows because you need that chemistry and continuity and understanding in that pairing and then in the back four.
Thank you. Again, if you would like a question, please hit 5 on the star key. Up next, we will go with Aaron McPherson of Columbus Crew SC. Aaron, go ahead.
Thanks, Carlos. Caleb, even though you only had Will for 30 minutes, just being able to see Zach, Will, and Gyasi together on the pitch for the first time in match this preseason, what did you see from that group? What does their presence mean in match? And is it good to kind of start to build that cohesion now, just being 11 days out from the home opener?
Yeah, obviously you want all your horses in the race, and we had all the horses in the race in that game, and it allows us to build and really execute. And I thought again that we did. When you watch first 30, we played in a very good way. We played in a good way with the ball. We were able to create chances. And when you look at the goal, that is what I would say is a excellent depiction of how we want to play. It was 10 passes back to front. We lost the ball. We immediately counter-pressed. Keeper won the ball back, and then it was four passes and a goal. Early in the preseason, we weren't seeing those habits and behaviors as well as we saw in that game. So I'm really pleased with the way this group is looking to press a little higher. I'm really pleased that they're getting more control in the front half. I'm really pleased that their counter pressure and counterattacking is continuing to evolve. And yet, the ability to play out of the back was there, and it was, I think, really important in that game because we had to at times, playing down a man for 60 minutes, we had to rest on the ball. And, I thought we had really good chances down a man. And that's why even if I look at the 60 minutes when we're down, I thought we definitely deserved to get something out of the game. And, with a little more luck, maybe 3 points. But no one's complaining 60 minutes down a man getting points.
Thank you, Aaron. Next question will go to Pat Murphy, Master Report. Pat, go ahead.
We talked to you a little bit about this in terms of the wingers producing more in terms of goals and assists this year, but now that you've had quite a bit of preseason here, are you seeing production from those winger spots that you like, and what can you do to kind of increase that statistical production from those roles?
Yeah, good question. I like that we've been producing goals. When you look at obviously LAFC, you got goals out of that game. When you look at the last game in the 30 minutes, you got a great goal. I mean, what I would call a team goal and really good football. That action, the 4-pass action, where we circulated the ball and ended with the cross in the box to Gyasi. That we showed a lot of quality. So I think with the way that we play, obviously we're very good in that middle block and countering from there, but now we're adding on the piece where we can press and win the ball a little higher and keep the ball a little higher. I'm very confident that the goals will come in those front 4 spots, no matter who's in there. And we have the quality in those front 4 spots to get goals from not just the 9 and 10, but also the 7 and the 11, the wingers. So whether it's assists or actual goals, we know we need production in those spots, and I'm confident we'll get it.
Thanks, Matt. Up next, we go to David Katz from Golden Square C. Again, if you would like a question, please hit button star key. Go ahead, David.
Thanks, Carlos. Caleb, you've mentioned that you're a big psychology guy and how that's ultimately played a big, sometimes hidden factor in putting together a winning team. So now that you've had some time with the team, I'm curious as to what you've seen in that respect from this group so far this preseason.
Well, I said it. It's a good group. Chemistry's good. The locker room's good. It's a good group of guys. It always starts with the individual character. That's why I'm so mindful of recruitment, not just recruiting talented players, but recruiting talented players that have winning character qualities. And then obviously collectively, it's important to, create a chemistry, a spirit, a synergy where the whole is greater than the sum of the parts, so to speak. But this is a good group. I think, having this mindset when we take the field that we're going to dictate the game and we're going to be the alpha dog and we're going to, play in an aggressive way, both sides of the ball, that's evolving as well. And we have a good group of guys that are leaders and that play with confidence. And want to win, and our competitors, it makes it a lot easier to build that dominant personality. And what I mean by dominant personality is it's a personality where we're going to decide the game. We're going to decide the game with and without the ball. And to decide the game, you have to want the ball. You need 11 guys that want the ball and are brave. And I need 11 guys that want to win the ball. so far, I'm seeing the group move in a direction where we'll be able to execute that. And what I'd like too is there's no luxury guys in this team. That's important, you know. And a lot of teams, when you look around the world and in our league, there are one or two guys that take plays off, and that makes it very difficult to play this style. You can't have anybody that isn't bought in, and you can't have anybody that's doing less work than the others. This group, it's easy to work with because everybody does their job and everybody is bought in. When I look at, for instance, Gyasi Zardes, who I think is one of the best strikers in the league, he defends as much as he attacks. And when I look at Pipa, who's one of the best 10s in the league, very special player. He has some vision and qualities and final passing ability that I've honestly not seen. He's really, really, really special player. And yet, when you watch him on the pitch, pressing high, working as hard as everybody else, never taking a play off, when you see your two primary attackers, being your first line of pressure and digging in and working just as hard as everybody else, it just is infectious. And it really helps because we have to be attackers who defend and defenders who attack. And our attacking starts from the back, and our defending starts from in front. So we're getting that out of guys, but it really helps, like I said, when you have the primary chance creators setting the tone. And, for us to be able to lose a guy in the game and to be able to shift Keepa down and play him, we basically went into a 4-4-1, 2 lines of 4. And for him to be able to just slide in there basically in that 4 line of the midfield and just, be able to defend says everything about his character. And at 34 years old, to be able to do that, that says a lot about his legs. Says a lot about also his honesty.
Thank you. We still have time for a couple more questions. If you would like them, please hit 5 and a star key. Up next, we'll go to Jacob Myers of the Columbus Dispatch. Jacob, go ahead.
Hey, Caleb, you kind of mentioned about Pipa and want to talk around the same lines as Gyasi last game, playing so far down on the defensive half when he had to. Just how much did you learn being a man down about his fitness, his strength, and kind of his ability to play that far back there?
Yeah, when you look at our fitness, that was a really good positive from the game as well, because that was the first game we were able to play guys 90, and so obviously that 90 in the load changes when you're down a man, so now it becomes a higher load, and we certainly didn't look like we couldn't or weren't capable of doing it, but Gyasi, his work rate, and his ability, like I said, to not just threaten and attack and score goals, but to be our first line of defense, kind of our spearhead, both sides of the ball. That really helps. His ability to do repeated sprinting, that engine that he has, that's a real key for us. And it's not easy because he's required to try to stretch once we win the ball. And in all honesty, he's probably the guy in that type of game that's going to score the goal. But then he has to help put pressure on the backs, and we had one less man, so that pressure, was really going to come from him, one person versus 2 if we had the extra player.
Thank you. Our next question, we go to Pat Murphy of Massive Report. Pat, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just curious. You mentioned him a little bit, but what you made of Waylon's game. This was obviously the first time he's been with the group in a game-like setting. and a key role for you guys. What did you make of his performance on Saturday?
He's been great. Everything that we thought he'd be, and his transition's been seamless. It's almost like he never left. Guys know him well. Most of the staff know him well, and just a great guy, real positive energy, and quality player. He's athletic. I thought he was very good defensively. In that channel, did a nice job of shutting down the winger on that side, and then getting forward. That box to box, both sides of the ball type of impact that we need from our outside backs. He really showed that, and so it'll only get better too as we continue to work, and he's obviously behind a few guys in terms of that transition and understanding and the trained behavior that we were working on in those first several weeks. But he's just a natural fit, and it's good for him obviously to show his quality going forward and get an assist as well.
Thank you. For the last question, we'll go to David Pat of Columbus Crew SC. David, go ahead.
Thanks, Carlos. Caleb, so this idea of progression has been talked about a lot, and rightly so. It's preseason, and usually it's in regards to the team. But in some respects, it's probably a two-way street, I imagine, especially since you're new to the club. So for you and your staff, have there been aspects in your coaching approach or your day-in, day-out regimen that have progressed throughout this first phase of the team?
Yeah, obviously I'm always one to reflect and learn and grow. That's important. I've been coaching for 19 years, so I've been at this a long time, and I have my ideals, and I have my routines and my ways of working, and my things that I do in teams to build teams. But there's always, for me, as much as you want to, have a rhythm and have a set group of core values and training drills that you use, and ideals on system and philosophies on everything. You still want to have new stimulating things that you are introducing and using. So the longer you're in this, the more you know what you want, and the more that you can be clear about what you want and have training and ways of teaching what you want. But you have to stay ahead of the modern game and what's changing and what the tactics are in the league and what the other teams are doing, and be aware of what's not working and what needs to be changed. So I think there have been some things with some of my staff where we've had discussions, and we said, you know what, let's change this time around versus what you did at Portland, or this coach right now, in Europe is doing this, or I've noticed watching the Champions League games or watching Premier League games that this is, the way that this team is doing this on dead balls, or this is the way they're pressing, or this is the way they're playing out, or this is, a phase of play that you can see is being used more. So those are all things that we try to be ahead of as a staff and be progressive on. But the nice thing about coaching 19 years is you've also learned what works and doesn't work, and you've also learned just how to be clear and simple. I think the better coach you are, the more simple you make it. Obviously, I continue to know more and more, but what I know, I have to distill down into a simple way of presenting it. And some of that's on the pitch, some of that's through video, some of that's through team talks. But every day is an opportunity to get your message across and to be clear with it. And then obviously you have to continue to get the players to want to buy into it.
Thank you, Caleb. This is going to conclude today's media availability with Caleb Porter. Thank you, everyone, for joining us.
Thanks, guys.